Okay, we all know why everyone's here, so thank you.
Wow, look at this. You get the
I feel like this is like after a sports game panel. The hockey interview, right?
How'd you play, man?
Okay, well,
we're ball down the center court. There he goes.
we're digging deep in the corners for loose change tonight, but we had to put the puck in the net, and that's how it goes.
Oh yeah.
That's good. I like your Canadian.
It's not hard to
Canadian thing.
How's everybody doing?
Home of the Slinky!
Is that why there's so many slinkies here?
I think so. Is that why there's so many
That's
Slinkies?
what it is.
That's why it was a weapon in the trunk of the.
Yeah.
Okay.
How would you use that weapon to kill somebody? A slinky.
Yeah.
Strangle.
Or bore them to death.
Bore them to death.
Here's a set of stairs. You're gonna watch this for 3 days. It's like, no more. No more slinky.
I have to do this. I can't keep this on the stand. It's too restraining.
Okay, hold on. Let me give you some more
Thank you.
slack here.
Thank you.
What's up, guys? Having a good time so far? Yeah?
We have been handing it up in the green room together and saying how much we're enjoying this event, and that's a true story. So it's that's just not lip service. All the information so far, really sweet and supportive energy. We're so grateful.
Yeah.
How are we gonna do questions? Do we have a?
First of all, are there anyone who has a question? Michael has a Michael.
Oh.
Hey! Oh, we have a question. We have one, we have two, we have three. Okay.
We have several.
So excited.
Stand up.
Stand up. Come on, what's your name and where do you come from?
Oh, never mind, sit back down.
My name's Logan. I'm from Fort Wayne, Indiana.
There you go.
Hi, Logan.
What is one thing that you're good at that you're embarrassed that you're good at?
I think I can say that out loud.
How many kids in the room?
Enough. Front and center, right there.
All right. Does a lot of editing.
Earmuffs. Do you have something that you're very good at that you're embarrassed about? Besides, the obvious things that are going through our minds.
This is such a tough question because you're like the things I'm very good at. I would hope that I would be proud of.
Not
Not like-
ashamed or embarrassed.
Well, maybe you should.
You know what
what
I
you should be not proud of.
Biting my nails. I bite my fingernails.
How do you get good at biting your fingers?
Your nails don't.
You know what? Look at them. They look
Years and years and
And
years
I'm
and
really
years of
bad
practice.
because whenever I bite my nails or pick my nails, I draw blood, which is obviously bad, right?
Yeah,
Sir, you're hitting the cuticle. That's your first problem. That's your first problem,
I
sir.
have a feeling this conversation is going south quickly.
Yeah.
I think I was really good at macrame once.
What's macrame?
It's like this thing, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm saying the wrong thing, because it's been years since I did it. But where you have a little ring, you have these strings, and then you do these patterns, like box patterns and swirly
And then you
patterns.
made a lot of hanging planters.
I used to make hanging planters. I used to do that as a kid.
That's really cool. I was always good at mowing the lawn.
I was terrible at that.
I'm so OCD, so the lines would be perfectly straight all the time. And then I did not skate, but
That's nothing to be embarrassed about. Macrame is embarrassing.
See, I love that about you. I think that's amazing. So I wouldn't be embarrassed.
But here's another thing, mowing the lawn. My dad used to make me mow the lawn when I was like 8. And the lawnmower thing was up here. I was about 5, I was like 4 feet tall until I was 17 years old. And so and we had crabgrass for grass. And you guys know what crabgrass is? It's like steel. It's like probably what Lucifer's front yard is made out of. And I would have to try to push this damn damn mower across. I never did it.
And it's so safe for an 8-year-old to be operating heavy machinery.
Yeah, the gas operated. It wasn't one of those things that, one of those manual
It's
ones.
like when it gets clogged up because you're mowing the lawn when it's wet, and then you're sticking your hand in.
Yeah.
You don't stop the machine. You
No, it's still running.
That's what it was like growing up in the 70s, my friend.
Yeah. You know what my move was with mowing the lawn though? I tried it for like, in my like preteen, emo kind of hormonal time.
Yeah.
I just started mowing the lawn really crappily. And my dad would just, what did you do? Like, what is it, sir?
I do what I want.
He would take over midway.
Oh.
So please, brother.
That is the smartest thing.
I'm going to get some candy.
You know what? Maybe I should be also ashamed of this. I'm fantastic at air guitar and lip singing.
Okay, good example.
First of all, yeah. Okay,
Does anyone have Striper on their phone?
Well, it's been a long time since I've listened to Striper, but no, I actually got a chance to prove it in one of the German cons, but I got a chance to prove it on this boat in Mexico where they played Highway to Hell, and they grabbed me to get up there, and I'm like, no, I'll play guitar and you'll see. It'll be good. And we rocked it. We rocked this whole shit full of people with me just pretending to play the guitar. And everybody afterwards thought I actually played the guitar.
An invisible guitar.
They were like, you clearly play the guitar. and I said, you're right, I do, and I don't.
So I could probably come up with more things I'm embarrassed about, but I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Thanks,
Question,
Logan.
Logan. Thanks.
That was great. Sorry we didn't answer it all properly. Hello, who's next? Mike. Oh wow, we have there's someone in the back there. There's a young lady down there. There's people all over here. Hello.
Yeah.
What's your name and where did you come from? Well,
You gotta have it really going.
pardon me. You were told you sound back there. Go on.
So my name is Bethany. I'm 14 and I'm from Pittsburgh. I'm going to say this is my first ever SPN panel. So
And you know what, Bethany, this is a very different panel than we normally have a stage and we're wandering about. You have a sitting behind the desk, so we can't escape.
This is very foreign for us. And plus, we've never done a panel together.
No.
I know.
Men of Letters and Lucifer have never been together at the same time.
And that's when you get evaluated in a sci-fi comedy.
interesting.
No, like,
Total
I
war.
mean, Catch, and Lucifer almost did a scene
Yeah.
where he threw a grenade in, like a demon grenade, into the room, and I popped us out of there before.
It's a good move. Good move. I'd love to be able to do that.
Sorry,
Sorry.
I'm shaking. I'm absolutely afraid. Okay.
I'll stop
You
talking.
have every reason to be. Because all of these people are staring at you right now. I'm kidding. It's all love. We're all loving.
So over the past 3 years, I have been interested in acting. And I wanted to know, what tips would you give for someone who wanted to be an actor?
I'll let the master thespian.
Oh, thank you.
Go. First, I go second.
Just silence over them.
I don't know. I think, read. Don't put stuff on yourself. Do stuff on your own. Play with your friends. Oh, come on. Well, you're part of the SPN family. If you're part of the SPN family, then you have many, many, many friends. A little brief thing. The reason I became an actor was when I was a kid, myself and my older sister used to just make up stories, and she would direct me in plays we do in our back garden for our neighbours. And I didn't, unbeknownst to myself, that's what I really wanted to do. I thought I wanted to play football, soccer, for a living. And that's what I thought I wanted to do, but it turned out this was really what I wanted to do, and it came from a place of play and having fun. And I think the more you can do stuff for yourself, you find stuff by putting on scenes with your friends, or putting on scenes on your own, or doing amateur dramatics. It's the best way.
My siblings are out of the house. They're at college.
Okay.
So I have no siblings.
Okay.
They're all dead.
Okay.
All right, we're putting a lot of obstacles in
Mark,
there.
over to you.
here's the problem. I mean, when you see good acting, it looks effortless, doesn't it? It looks like, wow, they're completely human, and that must be nothing to it. And because of that, people think there's no craft. But the person who can make that moment on stage or on film perfectly human is expressing a great deal of craft. So you should play. What you will be acting in is called a screenplay or a teleplay or a play, which means you have to be invested the way a kid is invested in playing. But you also have to be aware of the fact that you are responsible for a craft, in the same way that an engineer is responsible for a craft, or an airline pilot, or a brain surgeon. And you have to approach it with that kind of dedication, which means reading plays, going to a very good school that will teach you a technique. You might have to find the right technique that helps you access yourself and helps you interpret plays intuitively, and a good mix of your intuition in your brain, so that then you can go out there and be unselfconsciously playing in front of people as if they're not there. So treat it like a craft. And I know one school that's in Philadelphia, Playhouse West.
There's actually one in Pittsburgh. My friend goes to it.
Don't go there.
She's my only friend. Why would you do that?
The one in Philadelphia is Playhouse West, which is affiliated with the place that I used to teach for 17 years, where Scotty Kahn and Ashley Judd and James Franco and all those people all came out of our school. And he was sort of a part of that, and it teaches a very, I think, great spin on the acting technique. There's several different takes on Stanislavski's, way of approaching acting, and this is the Meisner method, which to me is great. These guys might have other suggestions that you could explore, but you got to get into a good place that'll teach you a good technique. You got to treat it like a craft. You got to get on stage all the time, and you got to work all the time, even if you're not working for money. Do whatever you can to keep connected to what you're doing.
And I would piggyback off that in like reps. Obviously, just keep swinging the bat. But also, you have got homemade filmmaking studios in the palm of your hand. I would take some favorite scenes from movies that you just think, wow, that's really good acting or that's really good filmmaking, and see if you can recreate that scene with your friends or some acting partners, not trying to mimic what they do, but get behind the framing, the shot, and reproduce and recreate, and then go make your own stuff. Make your own movies.
I don't think I can redo Alien.
But okay, here's one thing. I do not want to hear one more I don't think I can do that. Right. Here. I want to know that. From saying that, you make a deal with me? You make a deal with me?
Make a deal with the devil.
Come here.
Someone get this on film. There you go.
Come here. Shake my hand.
Is this a crossroads deal?
From here on in, turn around, and pledge to the people. From here on in, I will say, I can. And that's it. Say it.
I can.
That's it.
Yes, of course. Because in acting, you're going to get way more no's than you're going to get yeses. So you have to.
You don't have to add your own nose.
Don't
add your own nose to the list.
Resilience is the most important asset you have a lot of the time.
It's funny because as an acting teacher for many years, I have young actors ask me, well, how do you get successful at acting? How does one get successful at acting?
Practice.
Hello. That's not what they want to hear. They don't want to hear that you have to put your 10,000 hours in. They want the magic pill. They want the seminar. They want that thing with the casting director where they read the part.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the other thing, the casting.
Yes, me too, the casting director. But it's the thing. It's the practice that actually makes it. Chris Cooper, the great actor Chris Cooper. I don't know how many of you know him. He won the Academy Award. He's a fantastic actor. I had the fortune of working with him, and we were sitting across the breakfast table talking to each other. And he said, when young kids ask me what it takes to be an actor, I say, don't ask me. Because for him, he didn't do his first movie until he was 35 years old, or somewhere thereabouts. And he was brought up in the Stella Adler tradition and did regional theater for years, building sets first, then coming on stage and doing one-line parts, and then growing into leading parts, and then doing that for years and years and years before he got his first film break. So you're going to have a lot of fortitude. So say I can from now on, and that'll be the first step.
And I'd like to piggyback what we were talking about in the green room actually too. Be real clear about what your metric of success as an actor is, as opposed to chasing this new version of reality TV, celebutante, insta fame thing. If you want to be an actor, and be good at it, and the results will follow from that.
Because no one can stop you being that.
And by the way, being a successful actor is making a living as an actor. The rest is just ephemera and gloss.
This is true. Like 1% of actors make a living acting. And I'm not saying that to intimidate you. But also the great actor Bruno Kirby, God rest his soul, he was an amazing actor. He once said, he came to our school and spoke, and he once said, you know, I know there's an actor out there driving a cab who can act me under the table right now. And that's a fact. You know, there's a combination of elements that require success, but one of them is practice. And if you practice enough, luck, fortune, and your practice are gonna all collide at once at some point. We don't know when. At some point it will.
So yeah.
Good luck.
Thank you. Well done. Great question. We can keep talking about that specifically alone, but we're going to move on.
We talk about acting.
Let's go to this side.
Tom Courtney once said to me when we were doing this play, and we were going to the West End, and I wasn't sure they were going to take my character to the West End. And they ended up doing it, and he goes, you know, you have to remember, there are 1,000 actors in this locale that did the same job you did. Once you understand that, everything is pretty easy.
That's great. That is actually sort of like that samurai maxim, fight as if you were already dead. And, you know,
you can't lose.
You can't lose.
Wibbly wobbly, tiny wimey.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Marlowe, and I'm actually from PA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome.
This is for each of you. I want who your favorite celebrity was to work with in Supernatural.
The brief moment when I threw a bomb at Mark Pellegrino.
I was going to say David Hayden Jones.
She said celebrity.
I mean,
Either one word, celebrity or actor.
I mean, for me, it's Supernatural's just like family and friends and.
Oh, I mean, it could be Lost for you too, Mark.
Lost?
Yes, I watched the whole series.
That makes one of us. I'm very glad you did. Yeah, so I didn't get a chance to see, you know, all the people from Lost on television for 5 years before I got to do it. Otherwise, I might have probably been very intimidated. I didn't even know what role I was playing when I was landing in Hawaii. They told me when I got there that I was playing Jacob. The character that they'd been building up for a couple of years. So, for me, I mean, Supernatural's just it's its own unique show in its relationship, in the relationships dynamics between all the actors and the actors and the crew. Hollywood is sort of a very how do I put this lightly, chauvinistic. Oh, excuse me. No, it's sort of like earmuffs, please, kids. It's sort of a caste-like system where, you know, people only associate with people in their particular caste. I'm so sorry, young Crowley. I didn't mean to say this curse in front of you. But in Supernatural, there's none of those barriers. People below the line and above the line are hanging out, they're eating lunch together, talking, joking, playing.
That's why it went for 15 years.
I think that's one of the reasons it's so special. Not only because the boys have a great chemistry together and they're really good friends, because we all like each other, man. And I love going to work there. And I used to tell my agent, if ever Supernatural calls, I don't care what I'm doing, we gotta make room for them somehow, which is terrible for Supernatural because I've always had to do sort of 2 shows at the same time, and they've had to schedule, you know, scheduling nightmares, but I've always made myself open for them. And Yeah, so I'm
Yeah, I can't answer that question either. It's like Mark says. Everyone getting to do a scene in Supernatural is always just a joy, and that's not to deliberately not answer your question. It's just that everyone working with new people on the show, even newer than me, some one or two episodes, and then all the guys. It was just great, all around brilliant experience.
Well, Jared and I were at craft service, and we were just, it was like late night and snow had fallen in Vancouver. We were just having a laugh and having a joke, and we just got into this conversation where he's like, we're 14 seasons in, and he's like, I can count on 2 fingers any problem actors we've ever had on set. And by problem actors, I'm like, and
I know exactly who they are.
And they're on either side of me right now. Wait, I wasn't even going there. I'll do it to work for you. But the culture really does trickle down from the top. And Jared was saying to me, he's like, we've been so lucky. I don't know what it is in the secret sauce of the producers, how they know. But we always, even though we're completely unique and different kind of characters, backgrounds, whatever, everyone kind of comes with their unique flavor. But there's the fact that the crew has been almost 50, have been there all 15 seasons. That, you want to talk about legacy family, that conversation in that shorthand makes for a really familiar environment, so that really helps too.
That last day of filming is going to be so sad.
I wonder how many of us are going to show up even though we're not working that.
I think I'm going to try for sure. I can't even believe it. It was like one of those things where, I'm one of these believers that the universe is finite, everything's finite, everything comes to an end, except Supernatural.
Yeah.
That was the one thing that was going to defy natural law and go on forever.
Supernaturally?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, actually, what if this is just part of the plot? It dies in season 15, but comes back in
But just think of it this way, not that I have any intel or whatever, but as a consumer of media and knowing where media is going, the fact that they could lay the CW season to rest, take a year or 2 off, the idea that the universe at this point is so expansive, and the lore and the canon, you can absolutely possibly see one-off movies coming on Netflix or something like that,
Sure.
or specials. You know what I mean?
Yay, Netflix.
Not to get our hopes up, but who knows?
But get your hopes up.
Great question.
It's not like we know anything, but we do.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Before we answer any more questions, I just want to answer one before it gets asked to me. No, the boys do not play practical jokes on me. Okay.
Hands go down.
Remove the thing.
What?
The practical joke.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm gonna right under my chair, over my.
Okay, hi, Michael.
You pick out. In the back, all the way in the back.
This little chap here.
All right,
Little Cass.
Then
Little
little
Cass.
Cass.
Michael.
Then little Cass.
Little Cass.
Here, we'll be quick.
What is your favorite color?
Nice work, dude. Orange. Orange has always been my favorite color because I liked oranges as a kid.
What about burnt orange? Is that even better?
No.
What, you don't like burnt orange? What?
From Oklahoma, it's Texas.
It's Texas.
Burnt orange is Texas.
It is? I don't have no idea what you're talking about.
I think I'm like a color of a team or something. I don't know. Yeah.
It's a color of a team.
Yeah, we're in Texas Longhorns.
Okay, so they're your enemy because it's a tribal thing. I see.
What's your favorite color, Mark?
I love the absence of color. What color is that? Yes, black. Look at me, I'm wearing black mostly right now. Except for my socks. Surprise, surprise.
David, what's yours?
I'm a rainbow guy, personally.
Yeah.
A little bit of my clear on it, end of the month. Here we go.
Nice work. Thanks for that, Cass. Great question.
Yay, Cass!
Again, wherever you were going with that, Dave, I suppose is the best place.
Back. Yeah.
Back in the corner.
And then you've got to go all the way to this side.
And then we gotta take a few over here. Okay, you're next. Okay, we got you.
My name is Tom. What was it like working on Lost?
Guys?
If it was anything like it was watching it, I'd say it was really, really enjoyable.
I mean, let's see, working in Hawaii for weeks at a time, awful. Just awful. No, it was actually great. Actually, that was a cast that turned out to be quite sweet as well. But I think I've been fortunate. I've only worked with one jerk off my entire life, and I'm not going to tell you who it was. I feel like telling it. I might burst out in the middle of this panel at some point and just randomly say a name. I don't know. But I got to work with mostly with Jorge, and then with Ed Nestor, who I've done actually panels with, who's just a genuinely sweet person, and Jorge, just a genuinely down-to-earth person. And then I got to work with a whole cast in the scene where I had to sort of explain the whole nature of Jacob and the island to these poor folks. And I have this enduring memory of me just sort of sitting there between takes on a log, we're outside in the middle of the Hawaiian jungle, and Evangeline Lilly asked the director a question. I think it was Jack Bender or something, and Jack's standing behind me, and she just walks up and just casually we're playing with my hair. I'm sitting there going, it feels nice. I didn't deserve that, but thank you. Asked the question, she's just playing, and then just walks away. It was the sweetest thing. Yeah, and it was really nice. The only tough part about some of it was that I had a choice to either have rope sandals or be barefoot, and I chose to be barefoot. But the beach that we shot a lot of our scenes at was called Police Beach. I forget what the Hawaiian term for it was, but there happened to be like thistles underneath the sand, which made life a little bit rough. And then I had scenes where I had to walk through rivers that had round stones that were just impossible to really keep your balance on back then. So I had moleskin at the bottom of my feet. But that's about as traumatic as it got. The rest of the time it was really nice working with everybody. Yeah. So I enjoyed it.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.
You ready to run?
Run. Stand up. Yeah, there you go. Nice work, Michael. Nova.
Hello.
Take my damn time.
Hello.
My name is Kaylee. I'm from Dear Boys.
You from where?
From where?
Dear Boys.
Dear Boys? Like Dubois?
Like Dubois.
Yeah.
Dear Boys.
Except you say dear boys.
Dear Boys.
But
It's Dubois, Pennsylvania, but it's Du Bois. Right, okay. We got you.
My question is, what is your favorite memory from the Supernatural set?
Here's what I always answer this and all the crazy stuff. I can't do favorite. Favorite is moment to moment. Like, there's just too many unique experiences for me, and that's not lip service. It's just like, gosh, I say this and it's sort of corny, but it's kind of true. When you kind of live in moment to moment, every moment is your favorite moment, and if you're invested and you're present, right? So make every moment your favorite, and you'll have a pretty good life. But it's, I know it sounds like ethereal and maybe new agey or whatever, but it kind of works if you just, you're present and you're open, And that's also good acting when you say present, open, and listening. When it works really well.
Indeed.
Just being in, that's what we say in acting all the time. You want to be in the moment. If you take that into your life, you're not worrying about stuff in the future. You're not. It doesn't say don't plan, don't make scaffolding for your life, but then play within it, be in the moment. So,
For sure. What about you?
No, it's the same. Exactly. We've gotten that question before, Katie, and at panels myself and David, and I've always been impressed with your answer because I always try and find something. But I think as an actor, when you feel like you've done yourself proud in the scene and you performed on, there are memories of scenes that I've done in Supernatural that I look back on and I remember them fondly, or more fondly than others for some reason. And there are moments that were great, but I think it's also testament to the previous person's question of like how much fun we had on set the whole time. There were so little times, or there were so few times that you were feeling bad or down or not happy on set. So it's an even more difficult question to answer from a Supernatural perspective because it was so much fun to work on that set.
It's such a positive culture.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I can only tell you a memorable moment for me.
That works.
Okay. Who's been to my table and seen the pictures at the table? Okay, too few of you have been to my table and seen the pictures at the table. You're going to have to amend that tomorrow or after this. But anyway, there's a picture of Lucifer when his skin is the worst, and he's sort of like this, and there's the fogged up window in the background. You remember that? Right. It's where Lucifer sort of describes that, he describes the essence of hell and that it's not really hot. And Lucifer's not really hot, he actually runs very cold. And he proves it, and he makes his little triad insignia that I put on my signatures. Well, that was in a sort of a closed set area where we shot that. And there's a cast member who I won't name out loud, Jared. Did I say that? That was my head. Yeah, because sometimes I hear things in my head and I think I'm saying it out loud, but I didn't really say Jared Padalecki out loud. But anyway, Jared has a sort of propensity to fart. And he's open about it. I mean, it's on some of the gag reels, I think. I don't think this one made the gag reel though. And so, the way the mechanics of the film work is like they say, okay, sound speeding, and then the guy comes to the clapper and they say, they announce the scene, and then so we're rolling, the camera's rolling, and I have to turn into the scene. As I turn into the scene, Jared farts. No, it was a not laughable fart. It was like being in the midst of a nightmare fart. But I carried on. Daniel Day-Lewis. Daniel Day-Lewis didn't have Hamlet in it. He walked off the stage, but I carried on with Lucifer, despite being in the middle of Jared Padalecki's fart cloud. So whenever you see that scene, which is the one I think they took, know that I am doing it in the middle of Jared Padalecki's fart cloud. And I also have to say that the only time I was in, has everybody seen all the seasons? Yeah. So this last season was marked the only time that I, as a character, was ever in Baby with the two of them. I believe. Yeah. And I had to say that I was grateful that Jared did not fart once while I was trapped in that car. Because I know he's done it in the past. He did it for me. In Baby. So we were doing this thing in the car. There's actually, if you go through my Instagram, there's a photo of fart noises in the car. Because Jared had an app on his phone where he would do the farts, and he would like turn this dial and it would go from to like more of a less runny one. And so you'd be kind of going, Jesus, did you get more than you bargained for there? But so he was doing this, and it was all fun and games, there was lots of jokes, and then I didn't realize he'd stopped using the fart machine. And it started actually farting. I should have known when he started rolling up the windows. Rolling up the windows? Yeah, that's it. Rolling up the windows. Apples is so... He's done it with Jensen. Jensen's stuck in there. It's like a green mist. Just slowly rising. And it singes your nose in. Yeah. See, what you thought was a special effect when I blew onto the glass.
memories.
Thank you for sharing.
Someone else?
Next question. Get him in the middle.
Someone in the middle here, Michael.
We have tons of
Tons
questions.
of questions.
in the middle.
Anybody, choose one. So we're impartial.
There we go.
Alright, so since everyone has seen season 15, well, I mean 14, the end of 14, does that
What?
mean since Chuck has redone everything the boys have done, does that mean Lucifer's coming back?
I hope so.
Wait, what did you say?
Since God redid everything the boys have ever done, like undo, does that mean you're coming back? Since you were dead. And Nick, yeah.
It's more to the point, right? Yeah, exactly. Stupid question, right?
Catch killed Nick, so technically the boys didn't really do that.
But did he kill Nick though? Did you ever see Nick's body? Did you know?
You saw Sam see a version of Mick in a coffin. We didn't see a salt and burn. We have no idea what
You
happened.
guys are really giving away state secrets right now.
I'm just saying there's open-ended things.
I'm not going to say
Excuse me,
anything.
that is false.
Oh, she certainly can these days. Isn't she?
She's taking that
You should
seriously.
take
You
a class.
can. Yes, you're in. You are in. How can I answer this question without giving anything away?
Just say I can't tell you.
I should say I can't tell?
I can't tell. Nor do you know.
I do know, actually, and the question is, do I want to tell you? Or, how many people know? Let's be serious. How many people want to know? How many people want to be surprised?
Not by my own card, but I know in advance if I'm coming back, just so I know my lines.
So, I counted that most people want to know, so I'm going to have to give it away right now. I'm not going to do that. I wouldn't be Lucifer if I gave you the answers. I need to play with you. I need you to suffer. You have a whole season to suffer through. 20 more episodes for crying out loud.
Don't remind me.
And then it's over. Forever. For good. No more. Supernatural after season 15. Gone.
No spin-offs, no movies. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
Done. Over. Dead.
Go straight to jail.
Yep.
Thank you.
Right,
Okay, Mike,
you
you're getting even told it's getting harder. It's getting harder, man. You just pick one. Go randomly.
Right
Go around the
there.
place.
Right there.
You did a great job, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Hi.
Hey, what's your name?
Nicole.
Hey,
Hi,
Nicole.
Nicole.
My question is, without powers, which one of your characters would win in hand-to-hand combat?
Without the powers?
Without any powers.
Characters or actors? Characters. I think Catch might win, in my
In
opinion.
terms of how was Nick brawler at all?
Yeah, Nick was.
Nick, sorry.
I mean, I think what Nick displayed in this last season was like a high tolerance for pain, extreme focus, and no limits. And there's something to that can be a very dangerous element even to a very skilled person. But Catch, I think, is the most skilled
I would say
guy.
Nick could bore you to death.
he was like, let me write you
Hold on, page one,
Here we go. Page 1. Yeah, I think canonically, Catch would be the guy. But actually, that would have been an interesting scene if Nick and Catch had met, right?
Yeah,
So, like the wild card, psycho.
I mean, look what he did to poor Sam. It was like the rock crash into the face, and then the really weird, like, come on, man, let's play. Weird. You don't like fighting weird guys.
Yeah, that's good.
And also the guy with like the pain threshold just off.
Yeah,
Completely.
where
Like,
he
off.
can pull something out of his wrist or out of his hand.
Like Nate Diaz.
Yeah, you don't like that. You don't want to fight a guy like that ever.
Yeah.
Break their arm and they're still coming at you. No.
Yeah. Awesome. Michael, you're up.
But I'm pretty sure from the
the violent green room stories, we know
Pellegrino.
Mark Pellegrino will take you down in a bar fight.
But I mean, you can fight, but that doesn't talk about fighting dirty. You know what I mean? You can like.
Yes, yes. I believe in Marcus Queensberry.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Owen.
Hey, Owen.
My question has nothing to do with
Could you put your microphone up higher so I can hear you? Because I'm older.
There you go.
Do any of you play instruments?
Sadly, no. I used to play the. Do you know what the tin whistle is? Who knows what the tin whistle is? I used to play the tin whistle as a kid, and I could probably play a couple of tunes on the tin whistle.
The skin whistle? Oh, tin! Tin whistle. Remember we were talking about skills? I heard skin whistle.
I thought I was nasty. That was a more sophisticated nasty than me, though. That was very nice. I'm blushing and sweating a little bit. Do you play an instrument?
I am serviceable on the piano.
Wow.
And I also used to actually be quite a good trumpet player. I was the nerd, the trouser trumpet player, just like
The trouser trumpet. The skin whistle and the trouser trumpet.
Here we go down the road at skin whistle and trouser trumpet. We're going to see the karaoke. Now that's what I thought I wanted to hear. I killing it with the 6-year-olds down front, folks. Killing it with the 6 to 7 crew with perverse jokes. But I was actually like first trumpet in jazz band, and we kind of toured, and I was like the jazz nerd.
Oh, that's
good. And I actually, one of my deep honors in my town was I used to play the taps and reverie for what we called in Canada Remembrance Day. And so I would stand out there and honor my grandfather. So that was nice. And then I found out the trumpet completely ruined my teeth and my bite in university. And I was like,
That's what she
said. I'm still repenting.
The kids are happy.
I love it. But
They're so much more aware and worldly.
See, we haven't done piano before, but when you have Adam Furries and David Jones, we rock it with the 6 to 8-year-olds. I mean, our level of...
Yeah, but it's the dirty jokes that are making me laugh.
It's the internet.
It's the internet. And I used to play the guitar, but it took, so I really did actually play the guitar, so I was sort of lying when I said I didn't. But, because I like to lie. Sometimes. But it took so much time and practice that like I would practice two hours a day, and when you have a family and you're working, and it's just not, you have to have a life with your family and do things with them instead of sitting there playing scales while you're watching a movie. It's annoying to the people around you when you're playing scales. So I sort of gave it up, and I haven't picked it up in like years, like 5-6 years.
I just so wish my mom and dad had said, like, just pick up the guitar early, get those calluses early, and just be cool. Because you know what? You know what no one ever pulls out at a campfire late at night? A trumpet. Hey ladies, we're all a little high, we're all a little stoned right now. Hey, we're doing those. Hey, come back to the tent.
Campfire sing along. That is fantastic.
Trying to kumbaya to that trumpet. Awesome question. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Come on, you're up. There he is. Pick a person, any person.
Do it quick.
Okay, you're on my ass, man.
Right there. She's had her hand up. Right there. Right there.
Lady, second row. Hello.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Colleen Barnett and I'm from Pennsylvania.
Is your mic on? Can you give it a tap tap?
Give a little tap at the top. No.
It's dead.
There you go, slide. There you go.
There it
Did
is.
you say your name was Colleen?
Yes.
Do you know that is Irish for girl?
Yes.
Very good.
Wow. Very good.
Do you
Do you know he
guys
speaks Irish?
Well, the comments scale then. Okay, that's enough. I just said you was full Irish.
Do you guys have any ghost stories?
I do have a ghost story actually.
Please.
But can I'll tell a little preamble to the ghost story. You know, there's a show called Celebrity Ghost Stories that called me for my ghost story, and I don't want to make anybody like not believe that the celebrity ghost stories are really ghost stories. When I told them my ghost story, the producer kept feeding me information like, well, did this happen or this happen? No, it did not. Well, what about this and this? Did this happen? No, that didn't happen at all. So I felt like if I just lied, said, actually, yes, and then I could have gotten on the show and actually told my ghost story. But here's my ghost story. So for like an anniversary, my wife and I went to stay at a bed and breakfast called the Victorian Rose, which was a church built in the 19th century in somewhere in Ventura County. And a priest had died there, and a young girl was murdered, apparently. It's like in the attic or something in the church. And this young girl and this priest haunted the entire bed and breakfast. The priest does something that I think probably sounds really creepy, but I don't think it's creepy to him, is he tucks you in at night.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's sort of creepy, right? Yeah, I don't know what the little girl does, but anyway, so I'm sleeping. It's about 2 or so o'clock in the morning, and our room faced a terrace with French doors there, so there's a terrace overlooking, open the ocean or whatever. And all of a sudden, my eyes pop open. I'm facing away from the terrace. I'm wide awake, and I sensed something behind me. Now, I have spidey senses. For real, I think. Or I'm just paranoid. But I sensed something behind me for sure. And it was like a horror movie where you're like, I'm not going to turn around. Don't turn around. Don't try to pretend you're asleep. And then I felt something tickle the back of my neck. And I still didn't turn around because I thought, I'm not turning around. Because that's how all horror movies start. I'm not turning around. And then I felt it again, tickle my neck. Not a breeze. Something fingers touching my neck. And finally I flipped around real fast and there was nothing there. That's my ghost story.
Were you sure you were awake?
Positive.
Yeah. Because that's the only thing, I don't have one, but I do. I remember waking up in school, or not waking up in school, but I thought I was awake, and my legs were being moved violently either side of the bed, and I was 100% sure I was awake at the time. But when I woke up the next morning, I remember the incident vividly, but I don't think I was awake, because there was no explanation for it. I was being violently moved around the bed. I was in boarding school, so there could have been some dude at the end of my bed. But I didn't see anyone. I remember not seeing, but then whatever happened, I fell back asleep, or I was already asleep. But yeah, I vividly remember the sensation of having no control over your body.
Well, that's very clearly, that was Satan.
You never saw me. You did that.
I can't give away
I knew I had
all my secrets. I hate those dreams where you wake up in your dream and you're in your bed. Have you ever had this? You wake up, you're in your bed, and you can't move.
Oh my God!
And you know something really bad is about to happen. And like there's a door that's a crack open, and you're looking at it, and you're like, wake up! Wake up! And you're trying to pull yourself up. You know you're asleep, and you know it's about to be a nightmare. Has that ever happened to you? Yeah. It's the worst.
Sleep paralysis?
Sleep paralysis sucks.
You can die from that, right?
You can die from sleep paralysis?
Yeah, you can.
I'm a hypochondriac. Don't tell me I can die from sleep paralysis.
When you get
Another thing I have to worry about now?
Can you breathe? Do you know that when you're going?
Don't do that! I'm gonna think I can forget how to breathe. You don't know how close my personality is very Woody Allen-ish. Don't go there. I do sometimes think about what if I forget how to breathe? What if you forget how to breathe? Don't think about it. Don't think about it. See, Now this is a show I would watch.
Yeah, right?
Mark and Adam's sleep stories. Wow, you guys have a much more adventurous. I'm like, I sleep like a baby. Nothing ever happened to me.
So one of the funny stories was about going to be in boarding school is that the 5th year dormitory were fire doors, and then the 2nd year dormitory was there. So you like your 5th year. Oh, sorry. In Ireland, that's 5th years are about 17, and 2nd years are about 13, 14. So my buddy Joey Murphy, he was really bad sleepwalker. Like we used to sleepwalk all the time. And this one night he dragged his duvet, or his comfort or whatever you call it, with him, and got into bed with a 14-year-old boy. The poor kid was so sketched, I didn't know what to do. He woke up immediately, and Joey's like asleep, but kind of awake. He went down to get his form teacher or whatever to come up and wake up Joe. And Joe woke up and he was like, "What? Where am I?" And this little sketched out kid in the corner.
Oh my God.
It's not like.
Wow.
What about back here in the back? Back some of these lovely ladies back there.
Whoever the last.
Hello.
Hi,
How are
Gabs.
you?
Good, how are you doing?
Reading this.
So far, so good.
I'm good. So who is your favorite protagonist on Supernatural and your favorite antagonist on Supernatural?
What's a protagonist? I'm a Dean boy. And sorry, but I'm totally biased. I like a little guy called Catch.
Good answer.
You next, go ahead.
I don't know. I'm a big Castile fan. And I'm a big Lucifer fan. Angels and Demons fan.
I'm a Dean guy. I actually took a quiz online. Which supernatural character are you? Yeah, I took it. I wanted to see.
You didn't meet yourself?
No, I didn't. I got Dean. I was actually very pleasantly surprised by that. Because Dean strikes me as he's like a chocolate chip cookie. He's really hard and tough on the outside and really soft and chewy on the inside. And I feel, like when you get, he's so tough, and I'm like still the opposite of tough. That I was very surprised that I got that. But I'm a Dean guy, and antagonist. Wow, that's a tough one. Well, thank you. Well, thank you. Thank you. That feels conceited and weird.
Like me?
You have more self-esteem than I do. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think of. I have a natural competition with Crowley. Just sort of a natural competition. Even though, I've had fun with him doing those scenes. He's not really an antagonist in a way. He's sort of an obstacle character more than an antagonist.
Asmodeus. Oh.
No, Asmodeus is something you take when you have diarrhea.
Very effective, by the way. Extremely effective. All right, help me out through some real food poisoning.
I would have to say, all right, I'll just say Lucifer.
Yeah!
Although Metatron, I did like Metatron quite a bit. No, I know, Icky, you're like, ew, gross. But no, it might be because he was so nerdy and it's just sort of the opposite of what you would think of an antagonist to be. He was the banality of evil right there, which is sort of perfect, right? Rowena, yeah, but she's no longer an antagonist. She's sort of a alter hero. Huh? She's an anti-hero? Why? Why do you say anti-hero now? Because she holds the opposite values and yet she does something heroic anyway.
She's a hero despite herself? Is that what it is?
Well, doesn't a hero do it? Doesn't a hero do what they want to?
I think so.
A
a hero does good, a villain does bad, an anti-hero does whatever they want.
Wait a minute, you're just telling me this, but this sounds like something you learned in school.
Did you learn this in acting class?
Look at little Miss Candy.
Let me tell you one thing right off the bat. Don't listen to anything they tell you in school. Don't listen to anything they tell you in school. It's all wrong.
He's a teacher too.
I can't tell you how much I'm enjoying this. Because there's teachers right here. I guess I do have a little evil streak in me. Something. Maybe a big streak, evil streak. Who else has a question?
Come on, Mike, where are you? Here, oh, there you are.
Une autre question.
Il veut pas follow. S'il vous plaît. Get a card. There you go. Pass it back.
Okay, hi, I'm Erin. Oh wait, you know what? I don't need it.
Erin, how are you? That means Arden.
Yes.
Wow.
I'm great, actually. This is an awesome experience. So my question is for all three of you. If you could take your character and put it in any other show or movie or game, anything, what would it be and why?
I'm not going to edit this. I'd like to see Catch in Grand Theft Auto.
You would be free, baby. Free to be you and me. What do you got for that one?
I don't know.
I mean, I think I'd like to see Lucifer on Gilligan's Island. Wow, thank God you didn't have your microphone up when you said that. Because you would have made the 6-year-olds laugh.
I don't think they know what Gilligan's Island is.
Yeah, you guys don't even know what Gilligan's Island is. That's how I'm dated by. How many people in here actually know what Gilligan's Island was?
Oh, wow. There you go.
Nick at Night, right?
Because I would love to see.
A lot of nods, Nick at Night.
I think the skipper and Lucifer would make it interesting. The skipper and Lucifer here on Gilligan's Island. Yeah, that'd be great.
I'd like to see Dave on Naked and Afraid.
That's one of my favorite shows.
It's great, isn't it?
Oh my God.
Amazing.
You know the one thing he brings? A typewriter.
Can you imagine? Yeah, he meets the girl in the middle of Botswana. And he's like, well, what's your survival instrument? Here, right here.
And her eyes go wide for a split second, but he... Oh, that's
And then you see her interview. Well, I think I don't know what we're going to do with this guy.
It's brain cell wrong.
That's more afraid.
Oh, dear Lord.
Thank you. Great question.
Two more questions and then.
Oh, wow. Here we go. It's right there.
Thank you for not giving me the responsibility.
No problem.
So if you were stuck in solitary confinement for 6 months, how would you keep yourself sane?
So I have no books. I have nothing to read.
Nothing.
I mean, you no books, nothing to read?
Nothing.
Okay. Yoga.
That's a good answer.
So I just keep.
That's one of the
practice.
things. Yoga,
Stretching.
exercise in general. You know, if you could chip off, you try and break out, would be a cool idea. You're 6 months in there, try and dig a wall, a hole, not build a wall, dig a hole.
I have a feeling, though, I'd be one of those guys that would, just cut himself enough on his cuticle, legitimately, so I could make art and paint on the wall. Yeah. But I mean, the artist creates, and to get out of your own head, you have to sort of write or create stuff. And I've said to so many of the artists in this community, I started as a, graphic artist, fine artist, and architecture. But I would need to start drawing stuff, and if there was no utility, I would just cut my cuticle just enough so I could write and draw.
I can show you how.
Maybe you could just do it entirely imaginatively, and just without anything, and just draw. You know what I mean? It would all be in your mind. I would just go crazy. I would just go stark raving freaking mad, and go
God help the person who came to give me food, because I'd behave like a gorilla in a cage, throw feces at them, smear it in my hair. I'd just be a complete maniac. Yeah, I don't have that discipline. That would last me about 3 hours. My yoga practice, 3 hours, done.
Yeah, I didn't say mine was a practical answer. It was an aspirational answer.
That's good. No, you're already thinking.
But I think you're right, though. I think you're right.
I mean, I can't be alone for that long, like for a day, for 3 months, for about 6 months. No chance.
Yeah, I mean, you think of you hear prisoner of war stories where these guys sort of go back and recompose their lives. They just sort of remember moments and just relive them in their imagination over and over again, as if they're writing the book of their lives. And that sort of occupies their minds while they're in these horrible situations. But I think that wouldn't necessarily save me from going over the edge. I'm already halfway there.
Have you ever read Frank McGinnis's Pay Someone to Watch Over Me?
No.
It's about three, a British, an Irish, and an American prisoner of war. One was a journalist, Johnny Dean Miller, Aidan Gillen, and David Threlfall played in the West End. It's a brilliant play about three prisoners in captivity in Lebanon back in the early 80s. And if you get a chance to read it, you should do a scene from it. But it's an amazing play about what they use being prisoners. They interact with each other, but they come up with stories and tell each other stories, and it's this fantastic play. And I talked to the director of the play one matinee. I saw it in the West End one year, and his name is Dominic Drumgoole, who ran the Globe for a while. And I said, "How did you direct this?" And I was halfway through the play, and I said, "How did you direct this play?" And he goes, "I got 3 actors, and I chained them to 3 different radiators, and I just said, there's the play." And that's what you see. You get these vivid imaginations just come to life on stage. It's an amazing play.
Yeah, that's all you would have is your imagination.
That's it.
So
One last
question. Oh wow. Over here.
Way in the back. Go back. There we go.
There you go.
Sorry, guys.
I mean, I've got nowhere to be, too.
Well, we have to be at autograph.
Oh, we got an autograph.
Hi, how are you guys?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good.
My name is Annie.
Make this a good question, Annie. Don't fuck this up.
This is the last question. You better be actually really be good.
I was just curious, what was the most fun scene you guys have filmed on the show?
I've had a whole slew of them, but just in terms of you have this conversation with your little boy self, and when you're imagining you like Star Wars, watching Bond, and one of my first days on set was the set of Phil Segrisha directing and the Catch's reveal of his face. And so I'm driving this $500,000 Bentley. I'm in a $2,000 suit, and I have a real grenade launcher with a 50% charge in it. And then they actually practically blow up a black SUV, like real fire, real glass, after I shoot a pretend grenade.
Awesome.
The little boy in me is like, I love my job! I mean, I'm getting paid for this. That's a good day. That's a good day in an actor's life.
That's really, yeah. Mine is the last scene I ever shot on Supernatural, which was just one big, the scene with Dagon when she arrives in my last episode, and we started filming at 4 o'clock in the evening. Well, we were call time was 4, so we started filming about 6, and we filmed until 6 o'clock in the morning. And it was just one big technical fight sequence, which was just amazing. Yeah. I had to do so many stunts. I tried to do my own stunt. I said I was going to do my own stunt, and then I fell off the back of baby and nearly broke my hip. And I was like, no, I'm fine. It was fine. It was cool, but it was just it was just. But I loved all my scenes in Supernatural. I love speaking dialogue more than anything. As an actor, it's my favorite way of interacting with another character in the show. But that scene, probably because it was my last scene, and probably because it was all night with a load of different actors. It was just good fun.
Yeah, I would say any scene I'm messing with somebody is quite enjoyable.
Most of them.
You had a lot of those.
Yeah, it seems like that a lot.
Awesome.
Do we have more questions, or is that?
I
think we have to wrap it up, right?
Oh, we can do one more.
We have one more question.
One more question.
Michael's call. It's on you.
Okay, Mike, you gotta choose. You gotta choose. How many?
You got
here somewhere.
This guy?
Yeah.
All right, do it.
All right.
Very good.
This is brilliant. This is perfect. Go.
Hi, what's your name?
Brandon.
Hey, Brandon.
Hey, Brandon.
Landon.
Landon.
Thank you for the correction. What's up, buddy?
What's your favorite episode?
Ooh. I have a few. Okay. So, but can I give you a few? Because I don't have just one favorite. I love Baby.
Yeah, me too.
Baby's my favorite.
Baby's cinema.
Yeah,
Baby is
it really
cinema.
is.
Yeah, it's great.
I also love Ghost Facers. I was impressed with each thing, and that's where I first saw, wow, he's shooting cinema, very documentary style, which was really great. I absolutely love Yellow Fever. Jensen is ridiculously funny in that. I cracked up when they opened the locker of the cats and I had to see that like 2 or 3 times. I just rewound it. That scream over and over again. I love The French Mistake. Right? I think that's great. God, I could go on. A lot of the out of the box ones are really sort of my bag.
That's the coolest thing about the show, that when I started doing a deep dive, like, because of streaming, I could do a little research, and then like I started going through my top 10 lists of like online, and is it changing channels? Yeah. I love when they get meta. I love when they lean into comedy, because that's my background, is comedy. And so like just the meta TV, the commercials and all that stuff, and then like having the trickster being behind all of it. It's just like, again, something that happened with the show, I think too, and you could probably back this up because you're the veteran on it, but they became successful, but then they also got to stay under the radar a little bit. So it's kind of a sweet spot for creative television, and they took it. That's what's so exciting, and I think that's what also, because Jensen and Jared were saying this too, if it had stayed just the procedural show, like the Law and Order of hunters working a case, I don't think we'd be at 15 seasons either. I think the fact that they were able to swing for the fences for 2 or 3 episodes a season and really make this weird, arty, comedic, whatever it is, like swing for the fences for these one-off episodes, really gave it some grounding, and then obviously opening up the lore of heaven and hell and demons and angels too, I think gave it a lot of great, stuff to open up with. But I think that's part of the genius of the show.
My favorite episode is Baby. I just thought it was genius. But I think I agree with you that it's one of the reasons why the show has gone on for so long, but more so probably for the boys and for the people who've been there for the whole length of time, that they get to play and they get to do different stuff. And as an actor, that's a great thing to be challenged with every year. You run the mill stuff, and then you get to do something that's out of the box, and that really keeps everything fresh for everybody.
Well, that's the thing, and I think the audience will always respond to 2 or multiple actors or creative forces. If you see them playing and enjoying it and investing, the audience leans in.
Yeah.
So,
Cool. I also really liked the Rabbit's Foot episode. God dang, it was funny. What is it called? Do you know what was the title of that? Goddamn Black Rock. That is so funny when stuff starts going south for Jared. Everything he does, he's just crashing into things and falling, and it's hilarious. I like to see people get hurt. So funny. Watch it on YouTube all the time. That's how I prepare for Lucifer.
Awesome.
Time to go, you guys. Thank you. We love you. Love you so much.
Dude.